Good evening, Scotland. Good evening, social media land. I hope you are well. It is Friday, the 30th of June, 2023. Welcome to Saorsa Live. This is our second episode here on the Independence Live network and also all of Saorsa's platforms as well. My name is Mo. I am a father of four, husband to one, and a lifelong campaigner for Scottish independence. I use the Saltire handle across several platforms and now have banded together with other activists online to create Saorsa. Tonight, the stream will be chatting about the amazing march that we had in Stirling last week with all under one banner, how the Daily Express last year just openly discussed the pillaging of our energy potential, and asked the question about, well, do you know what popular sovereignty is? But before we begin, I'd like to tell you a little bit about who Saorsa is and what we are all about. Saorsa are an incredible bunch of digital and social media creators that bounce off each other, promoting the positive message of Scottish independence across all platforms. We write blogs, make vlogs, short form videos, memes, attend marches, and all of this without any partisan politics. We believe that independence is a one policy campaign, which is get our independence. And one of our core values is that everyone counts, which is so very important as we're all sovereign Scots seeking to make our country better. It's all about working together for the greater good. And that is what we're all about. We're going to start something different at the start of every show just now. We're going to actually do this thing called Scottish Word of the Week. I'm going to play it to you just now, and then we'll introduce the panel about who's going to be talking tonight.
Your Scots word of the week is brammer, and it's a word that comes from the West Coast. It's a slang term for something that's really, really good. And here's a wee example sentence. Is that a new shirt? It's a brammer, which means, is that a new shirt? It's absolutely brilliant.
Brammer. Hey guys, you can unmute your mics just now and give us a big wave and a hello to everybody out in internet land. Yeah, Brammer. That was made by our Blair, by the way, guys. She's done about 6 of these for us for the next few weeks, and I'm challenging you guys this evening to use Brammer appropriately in a sentence tonight. Okay, at any time at all, just throw it into the conversation and let's see if you can actually use it. Okay, so last time we were on, Will and Beth were here, so we know who Will and Beth are, but we have Keith and Aaron as well now. So Keith, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Keith. I stay in East Lothian on the coastline.
Is that it?
Ex-fisherman, retired joiner, jack of all trades.
That's great. And I take it that you're a unionist as well, Keith, yeah?
Only hell would have to freeze over for that to happen.
That's fair. Good. Listen, I'm glad that you're here. I know that you've been on lots of other shows and that you're very active in our Discord and an intricate part of Saorsa as a whole. So I'm really pleased that you've managed to get on tonight for us. And then Aaron, come and tell us a bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, I have to.
Yes, you do.
Hello, I'm Aaron. I come from the East End of Glasgow. I work in a supermarket. There's not much else to tell. Apart from I enjoy my time with this lot. I have to say that because I'm on camera.
Yeah, you're a handsome devil as well, if I don't say so myself. Thank you very much.
Aye, well, at least somebody thinks so.
Brilliant. Beth, come and say hello to us again and stuff.
Okay, hey, I'm Beth, Scottish activist, full-time mummy, wife, and avid lover of plants and animals. We've met before, so that's pretty much the gist of Beth.
The gist of Beth. And Will,
father of 4, grandfather of 2, incredibly proud. And I've got to say, I think Keith has been too modest because he is pretty much my rock-solid go-to historian. If I want to know anything about Scots history when it comes to independence, he's my man. And Aaron, whenever I want to know any facts about Hibs, he's my man.
This is just an ongoing private joke where Hibs are slagged off to Aaron, big time. So any
Aye,
Hibs fans
'cause
out there,
I'm a
please
Hibs
don't take that the
supporter.
wrong way. Don't hold that against us, okay? It's just banter. Right, listen, we were all at the march last week, the All Under One Banner March. I'm going to play the wee video that I made for it, and then we're going to talk about our personal experiences with it.
TikTok, all stop. Stop.
We had a good time last week. The heat was incredible. I have to say that All Under One Banner did themselves proud because there was a few people that did succumb to the heat, and they had to get a couple of ambulances in a couple of times. Our very own Silent Klansman was one of them as well, which was a wee bit of a shame there. But what did you think of the march, Keith? What was your impressions of it, first of all?
Yeah, it was really good. And just, I think the heat got everybody, the best of everybody that day.
Yeah, it was a tough one. It was a tough one. You were going to take your drone and try and get some footage as well, weren't you, that day?
Yeah, but there was too many flying about there. I mean, you're not really supposed to fly them above people.
This is true. This is very true.
And just in case it fails and it drops out the air.
Mm-hmm. You don't want that to happen. Aaron, what was your favourite bit about the march?
I don't know. I mean, I quite enjoyed actually just being there.
Just being there.
I'm going to Bannockburn.
Have you been to Bannockburn before?
No.
You've not?
Been to Stirling, and then just randomly. Nobody else really needs to know this, but I filmed a couple of videos. One was in Stirling Bridge, and it was good because it was actually a lovely view. You had the Wallace Monument and the castle.
Mm-hmm. No, it's some place, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it's first of all, the Battle of Bannockburn, the anniversary of that is actually my birthday weekend every year. And I remember when I first learned about the Battle of Bannockburn at school, when they actually said it was, the battle took place between the 23rd and the 25th of June. I was like, all right, that's my birthday time, which was pretty good. No, I really enjoyed it as well. We were, the whole gang was there. There was a whole bunch of us. I've got a picture actually of us all there. There we are. That's all of the Saorsa crew there. You can see Keith hiding in the background, Beth hiding behind the flag, Aaron with a cheesy grin and his green glasses, and of course the handsome devil that is Will at the back of there, just under. Two other guys, that is our Dave in the wheelchair to the right, our Vinny with the umbrella, and our two crazy youngsters, Kieran and Connor, and there's wee Maggie as well that's just behind Connor's head. Maggie, you will hear from Maggie later on. She is some lady, and yeah. But we weren't just up at the Bannockburn. We made it to the top of the Wallace Monument as well, and it was a bit windy up there, I have to say. So, Beth, what did you think of the Wallace Monument?
Well, I really enjoyed it. I loved it. It was something that I have never seen in my 34 years of life in Scotland. I've never been. So it was actually really nice to go. A bit gutted that I realised there was a free shuttle bus up when I was already halfway up the hill. So just a wee FYI for anybody that's going, there's a free shuttle bus. You only need to walk the stairs at the top. But it was brilliant. Brilliant.
The walk up that hill was just about frigging killed me, to be perfectly honest.
The heat
was like,
it
was like I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping till I get to the top. And then it was like a 20-minute like break before we actually did anything about even thinking about going into the tower. But wow, what a view from the top though. And going back, let me just put that picture back up there now. That is at the top of the tower. That's the That's Kieran, Connor, and myself. And I swear to God, we thought the wind was going to take that. It was like a parachute with the flag at the top. But what a spectacular view right across the whole of Stirling, right where the Stirling Bridge battle was. You could see everything. And the whole thing is fantastic. I would highly recommend anybody, if you get an opportunity to go up to the Wallace Monument, it's definitely worthwhile doing it. Will, you had a bit of a strange experience on a bus and going towards Bannockburn. Now, our whole crew, okay, let me just explain first of all why Will was on the bus. One of our members, Vinny, unbelievable. What an absolute hero. I think he's in the chat just now. Thank you for the mug, by the way, Vinny. He got me this for my birthday and I'm using it tonight. Vinny comes to all the marches, and we're all deeply concerned sometimes for his health and things. But so we insisted this time, listen, don't do the march, just get to Bannockburn. It's really, really hot. We want to make sure that you're safe and enjoying this. And so Will took Vinny on the bus to the Bannockburn field, and it was a bit of a weird experience on that bus, Will.
It was amazing. In fact, I think the number 51 bus service in Stirling should be a tourist attraction. I mean, it was spectacular.
Okay.
First of all, we had the unionist bus driver with his Rangers badge on, saying, "Get on the bus, get on the bus, get on the bus." Right? So we got on the bus and standing there for a few minutes, and there's a young lad right opposite me with a Scotland top on. Handsome young man. So I said to him, that's a great top you have on. You should be in the march. And he turned to me and he says, I'm the complete opposite. And I thought, okay. So I said, are you a Tory? And he went, yes, I am.
What?
And I won't say the exact words that I said at that point, but it went along the lines of, you are effing joking. And he went, I certainly am not. And
wow.
I thought, okay. So, me, I'm not one to dissuade anyone with a Rangers top on or a Rangers affiliation or anti this. I'm life's too short for that. Then he said to me, he leaned over and he says, you wouldn't catch me in an orange walk ever. Right? And I thought, well, okay. What? Yeah, you wouldn't catch me on one either, my friend, And then the conversation went on. We found out that he was amiable. So we gave him a card to go to Saorsa, scott.com, which everyone should have a visit, by the way. Have a wee look. So. There you go. But on this bus service, the next thing was a couple of junkies who decided to do a striptease, which was wonderful. Yes. So once they were ejected from the bus by the Ranger supporting driver, Vinny spotted a lady in a wheelchair, and she had tattooed on the back of her neck, "Made in Scotland."
Amazing.
So Vinny thinks this is one lady that we should be talking to. So Vinny reached out to her and said, here, have one of our Saorsa cards. And then she looked at it and she mumbled some obscenity, right, at Vinny, right, telling him to go away, right? You can just imagine 2 words, begins with F. And she said, what you should be doing is worrying about the environment. Yeah, we're cooking ourselves. The world's going to hell, and Scotland is And this happened all within a 5-minute period. The stripping junkies, the Scot supporting unionist,
oh my God,
and the mental lady in a wheelchair. It was amazing. Fantastic. I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
It sounds like I should have been driving that bus.
So everybody that's in Stirling needs to experience the number 51 bus.
51.
So please take note of that. Number 51, that is the way to go. Brilliant. Personally, my experience was it was roasting hot. We kind of ended up copping out after about 2.5 miles and then jumping on a bus to get to Bannockburn. It actually broke down. Which was much to our disappointment. With about half a mile to go, we were just a case of like, nah, can't deal with this. We need a pub. We want a pub, and then we'll go to Bannockburn. But we didn't get a pub. But we did get water at the Bannockburn Centre. We did get everybody together, and we did manage to get my favourite photograph, which I'm going to put up again, of the squad there. It's the first time that I'd met Dave. I think Dave's in the chat. I hope you are, Dave. And it was absolutely brilliant to have everybody together. You know something, the Saorsa lot are very positive. That's what we're about. We're about campaigning positively for independence. We'll work with anybody at all that wants to promote the positive message of Scottish independence, because we feel that everybody counts. Everyone counts. And you can come and see us. I'll just stick this up now. There is our website, saursascot.com. If you join up there, we're going to be opening a community Discord in the middle of July. And when we do that, you'll be able to come and campaign with us, see what we do and things, which will be really good. But I suppose we better get on to our main couple of talking points tonight. The first one being that Daily Express article. Let me just play a quick video about it.
The Daily Express recently ran an article with the headline, UK handed energy jackpot as Scotland's huge gold mine could export 25 billion a year to the EU. Let that sink in. This was in relation to Scotland's potential to manufacture hydrogen as a clean fuel source. Remember, they stole our oil and kept its true potential and wealth from us. Now they are coming for our renewables in the same way, but this time they openly discuss this theft in the media. When are you going to realise they are robbing our children's future blind, right from underneath our noses? If you're accepting of this, then you must be accepting of all those things you complain about that is wrong with Scotland, that you think that the union parties could do better at. I would rather see this wealth being put to use to build a better Scotland. What would you rather see our natural wealth being used for?
Right, before we get into this chit-chatty bit just now, I want to ask everybody that's watching the show just now across the different platforms, we get to see a bit of your chat in the side of the StreamYard screen here. But I want to ask you, how do you feel about our natural resources and the ability for us to produce clean energy being funneled south are not benefiting Scotland? That's just sort of like a side chat sort of thing going on here for everybody to actually discuss, and we'll bring some of your comments up onto the screen as well. There's one actually there just now. Let's just show this just now. I don't know who's this one. Hydrogen is the new oil for the Westminster parasites. Yeah, it kind of is. I think all the renewables are. What have you got to say about that, guys, just now? Who wants to start us off? Go on then. Go for it, Keith.
Well, I've already put a lot of stuff on social media platforms about the wind farm being built in the Forth Estuary right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the electricity produced from that will be going 350 miles south to Hawthorne Point via a sea cable. It will not light a bulb up in Scotland.
That's just, and is it finished yet, that particular?
No, they're actually just putting the towers that sit on the seabed. So much will be sticking out, and then they've got the towers to put on top, then the turbine, and then your propellers for the turbine going last. So they're in the process of making it, but every time you get bad weather, they can't do anything. So the big crane barges now have to go and shelter behind the May Island or go into one of the docks nearby.
My whole problem with everything here, right, is that I kind of grew up in the world where we discovered oil, and then I was also in the time of like that program from America, Dallas, you know, with the Ewings and the big towers of Dallas and the oil wealth of Texas and everything, and the shoulder pads. So I always thought that Edinburgh would end up like Dallas, you know, with like the oil wealth would be incredible, but it didn't. It ended up, you know, building parts of London and things, and we ended up having none of this wealth dropping on our doorstep at all. In fact, exactly the opposite from it all. And it was, I just don't want to see this happening again. The article in question was back in 2022, the one that was quoted in the wee video there. So it's not an old thing. It's just kind of put in the back pages for things, you know. Beth, what do you think about all this?
Well, it's nothing new, is it? This is absolutely nothing new. No, you're right there, Tommy Gunn. ripped us off for years. Yeah, you're 100% right. That's exactly what I've got written down here in my notes as well. No, it's gone on far too long. There has to come a point where Scotland turn around and say, no, you've had your share. You've had more than your share. We're taking it all back. Enough's enough. I mean, how long are we going to let Westminster treat us like this?
No, it's not a good thing.
No, not at all.
It's what we're doing here is we're accepting our children's future being dropped in the ocean. We're not getting the opportunity. Our kids will not have the opportunity if we don't do something about this, if we don't fight for our independence, if we don't push forward with their, with peacefully, of course, by any means possible. And, this is again what Saorsa is about. It's about just bringing these little bits of information to the wider independence community, and to be able to say to them, look, we know that you know this. Help us push that message out. And it is incredibly frustrating. Will, you must have something to say about this as well.
Well, on the back of, we've got somebody in the chat who, number one, who says hydrogen is the new oil for the Westminster parasites. I couldn't agree more with that. Green hydrogen will be what powers the trucks, the trains, etc., anything which can't be electrified over line. And the reason for that is there isn't the infrastructure, and there probably will never be the infrastructure for everyone to drive electric cars. There isn't the lithium, the cobalt in the ground. And lithium is one of those things that can be recycled, but for secondary, for mobile phones and things, but not for other cars. And in my, I would say previous life, I was involved with an investment bank in the States, one that's internationally known. And even laterally, they wouldn't really touch electric infrastructure. They were looking at green hydrogen. And Scotland in particular is absolutely the world centre when it comes to renewable energy. Nobody has the coastline of Scotland. Nobody has the wind touch of Scotland. It's the centre of the universe when it comes to that. And green hydrogen requires large amounts of energy to produce. And if it's renewable, then it's cheap. If you can't exactly use oil to create a green energy, can you? So it has to be renewables. And Scotland is really set up to take advantage of that if done properly. So when I see this Daily Express headline or back page headline or hidden headline, I totally and utterly believe it. That will be the next resource that they will take from us.
The crazy thing is as well, I don't know if you know this, that Scotland's tidal energy, even just now, is greater than the rest of the world combined. Now, I was reading an article about that, which is a ridiculous amount. I mean, the way that I see this, right? Okay, just the building blocks of everything for a positive economy, right? People argue that, we're not a manufacturing country. We don't do this, we don't do that. Okay, however, let's consider a couple of little things. And I've said this in TikTok lives as well before, right? Where basically we don't have a massive manufacturing base, but what we do have, okay, is a massive amount of water, and everything needs water to be manufactured. I think it's something like, round about, I think it's 10,000 litres to make a smartphone in the processing of it. It could be maybe 1,000, I don't know. Let's just say a lot of water is used for making a smartphone, okay? As we progress into the future, more and more manufacturers are going to want to have like less of a carbon footprint to make their technology, to make their parts and things. So why not go to a country that can actually manufacture things with like purpose-built factories, okay, where they have water and clean energy. We've also got a pretty well-educated population that can go into these factories, and they'll be smart factories. They're not going to be like old factories from before. These are going to be high-tech factories, and that means there'll be jobs. So we're also based right in the coast of Europe to go and trade with Europe, but also on the west coast of Scotland, the shipping lanes to go out to America. So Scotland itself, from an economy point of view, okay, with its green energy, okay, could become a manufacturing hub for massive companies, and that would just boom our economy. We might not see it in our lifetime, but our kids certainly will, and that's something that we should be aware of as well, you know. And yeah, somebody's Facebook user down the bottom there has also said rain with a laughy laugh. Well, yeah, absolutely, we get a lot of rain, and that kind of helps with water, which is a good thing. Aaron, have you got anything to say about this?
Just to say rain, obviously. We're surrounded by water. There's going to be rain.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing is about renewables, and they were saying obviously we're not a manufacturing. We've not got a massive manufacturing industry. We're not a hub anymore, but we used to be, because we have a crane on the Clyde that used to lift steam locomotives onto ships that we built to send them to Turkey, South Africa, India, Japan, Australia. We've got thousands. We've probably sent so much steel and copper. We've probably sent so much like steam locomotives and all that abroad that it could probably weigh the world down, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And then we've got we do have water, and in the future wars will be fought over water.
I hope
Egypt
that we
is about
don't
to
fight
fight
over
over.
water, you know. I
Well,
really don't.
I hope not, because they'll come to us for it, won't they? So
Aye. This is true.
And
We didn't want
we've,
that.
we've got the
selling
wind, we've got all these industries, and then people talk about, obviously, there is a jackpot sitting under that North Sea, but we don't need it. Well, we need it for so many things, but we don't need it as much as we did in the 1980s. You know, things have moved on. We don't need heavy oil as much as we did before.
The future is green energy. The future is hydrogen. And
Exactly.
the ability to make clean hydrogen is unbelievable for Scotland, with the potential of tidal, even hydro, the wind, everything that we've got there. It's frightening. It really is, and it's just going to be taken advantage of again. By Westminster. And this is what we need to be saying here just now. We need to be pushing the message to say, look, we're not going to have this again. We lost our oil wealth because it was hidden from us, and there was even a report, the Macron report, that was put out, but that was hidden for us for like God knows how many years, which explained the obscene wealth.
30 years it was locked away for.
That's mental. Keith, do you know a wee bit about the Macron report? What can you tell us about it?
Well, the Macron report was done by a guy that worked for the British state at the time. They asked him to do a report on it. And then when they read the report, they went, "You're kidding me. If the Scots find out this, they'll want independence. No, we can't let them find that. What do we do?" They just put a stamp on it and sealed it away in a dark corner for 30 years. And it was actually Sunday I'd remembered about it, and then they put a Freedom of Information request in to get access to it. And for the first time, the national newspaper in Scotland actually put it into print.
That's mental. What gets me is that article said it's 25 billion in exports just to the EU. What about everywhere else? I mean, the Macron report actually talked about hiding the wealth, Scotland's oil wealth. Okay, this is just people talking straight up about like the wealth going to the EU for hydrogen. There's so much more that can be built on that. And again, I feel that they're not actually explaining what our true potential is. I think that we need to understand that there is a massive gold mine in Scotland's renewables, and it's just going to be filtered down south again. Helen has just done quite an interesting comment. I'll bring it up just now. Maybe it's time we the sovereign people should let Westminster know that they're getting no more of our resources, regardless of what our so-called government says. You know, I think I don't know what we can do without being independent, though, Helen. To be able to turn around and say we can say no more, and we can keep saying no more, but it doesn't stop them from doing it, because energy is a reserved matter. as well,
Yeah.
which is just frustrating as hell.
They knew what they were doing when they gave us a devolved parliament for Westminster, that's for sure. They well and truly stitched the politicians up, thinking we can hold them prisoner at the same time, hold the sovereign nation of Scotland people prisoner at the same time, while we just pillage and steal the resources for right underneath our noses. And that's what's happening right now.
And the thing is, we don't want that, do we? So the question I was asking is, how does everybody feel, okay, about it all being funneled south? So that's to everybody that's watching across all the different platforms just now. If you can, Facebook users and YouTube viewers as well, you all have the ability to stick an answer in the chat. How do you feel about Scotland's renewable wealth being funneled south again? And we'll go around the panel here just now, just in a straight up sentence. Keith, how do you feel about it being funneled south?
I'm sick of seeing my country being robbed blind.
That's a good answer. Will?
I think it's disgusting. It's just feeding the elites down there, nothing more. It's not even going to the people in England. You know, it's going to the elites. That's who benefits.
Beth, what do you think?
I'm not allowed to swear on here. More said. I'm not allowed to
said.
swear. So
No swearing, we are live.
I'll just say it's no very Brammer.
Oh, there's our first Brammer. Well done. That was Brammer that you got a Brammer in there.
It's no very Brammer that them stealing our resources again.
Absolutely. Aaron?
Everybody stole my words.
Brilliant. I'm going to come back to Helen. She said another wee fair point there as well. In that case, we should tell the Scottish government we're telling them to do as the people want or move over, and we will. Yeah, do you know something? It's going to get to that point, really, isn't it? Absolutely. Druss is saying end the onion. That is our Druss's. That is our, that's how he feels about it. We need to end the onion. And I totally agree with you, Druss, when it comes to that. Michael, where are we, Michael? Not really going south, going offshore. Yeah, that's right. To the elites, Michael. I agree with you.
There is a giant, huge wind farm, right? They've already laid the plans out for it, and they've put some laid sea cables down and that for it. This is going to be a real Brammer, right, of a wind farm, right? It could be the potential of the biggest in the whole of Europe, if not the world.
That was rubbish, by the way.
And it's going to be built outside the Forth Mouth in the North Sea, right? And it's going to be built under when they moved the maritime boundary at Berwick upon Tweed in 1999. Donald Dewar and Tony Blair moved it that way to steal 7,000 square miles, like Vinny had said in the comments.
Yep.
Right? Now, this wind farm is that big that Greenpeace kicked up a stink about it, right? And it's made up of 3 big giant farms, right? All close together. And they had to reduce one of the farm sizes down and move it so the migratory birds could come up the Forth to nest on the Bass Rock, and that would have been chopped to bits. That's how big it's going to be.
Wow.
And we will not get anything from that. And I've got the actual consultation paperwork and everything. And I do plan to make a video up on that and put it across all social media so people can see it.
That's a good idea. That's good. My personal feelings is that if we don't do something about it, I like what Helen's saying. We need to instruct our government not to do this anymore, not to do anything. And we need to stand up for ourselves. So just, you know, if they're not going to do what we want, they just need to move aside and let the sovereign people take over and do the right thing. Because at the end of the day, it's our children's future. It's our grandchildren's future. We're basically screwing around with their legacy and the ability for them to have a better Scotland. And that's it. That's what it boils down to. I don't fight for independence for myself. I fight for my kids and the future generations of Scotland that come along. I doubt that we will see, maybe Aaron will see the benefit because he's a young man. You might be able to see the benefit of an independent Scotland, but I don't think that that I myself will get the benefit of it. But I certainly think that in my lifetime, we will be independent. Right. Let us play the next little video. Thank you very much for that. If anybody wants to have any other comments, we can come back at the end for this one as well. We're going to move on to our other little bit. This is about a 2-minute, 40-second video that I just made tonight is just a talky one, talking about a comparison between popular sovereignty and parliamentary sovereignty. It kind of just takes the very, very basics of it. It doesn't go into anything too analytical, and it's just as a taster of what this is all about. So have a wee listen, and then we will come back and have this discussion.
Popular sovereignty and parliamentary sovereignty are two distinct concepts in political theory, highlighting different sources of authority and decision-making processes within a government system. Parliamentary sovereignty is a principle that emphasises the supreme authority of the legislative body in making, amending, or repealing laws. In this system, the Parliament has the ultimate power to shape legislation, and its decisions cannot be overruled by other institutions. It is associated with countries like the United Kingdom, where the Parliament is considered to be the highest law-making authority. On the other hand, popular sovereignty asserts that the political power ultimately resides with the people. It emphasises that government's legitimacy and authority derive from the consent and will of the governed. Popular sovereignty promotes the idea of political equality, participation, and the protection of individual rights. It often manifests in democratic systems where citizens have the right to participate in decision-making through voting, referendums, and the election of representatives. While parliamentary sovereignty emphasises the power of the legislative body, popular sovereignty emphasises the power of the people. Parliamentary sovereignty may have limited checks and balances, potentially raising concerns about accountability and the protection of minority rights. In contrast, popular sovereignty places a strong emphasis on the participation of citizens, protection of individual rights, and the idea that the government serves the interests and needs of the people. In the context of Scotland, where there is a discussion about independence, the concept of popular sovereignty becomes particularly relevant. It prompts considerations about the rights and powers of the people in shaping the future governance and decision-making processes of an independent Scotland. Questions about accountability, citizen participation, and the protection of individual rights become crucial in this context. When evaluating politicians' stances, it is important to inquire about their views on popular sovereignty versus parliamentary sovereignty. If they are advocating for parliamentary sovereignty alone, this may raise concerns about their commitment to inclusive governance. Understanding their positions on these concepts can provide insights to their perspectives on democracy, citizen participation, and the extent of government accountability.
Right now, we don't see much government accountability. With everything that's going on in Westminster, even with things that are going on in Holyrood. And we actually live under a parliamentary sovereignty model in the UK.
Yeah,
and
the devolved Parliament from Westminster works under the same system as Westminster, parliamentary sovereignty.
Yeah, I've only kind of started to get into this over the past sort of year and a bit, more so now than any other time, because I'm not one to sort of like point fingers at any political party other than the Tories, and that's fine, because they can be, you can, you know, say what you like about them, because they're kind of, I'm going to start swearing if I start thinking about it. I'll get triggered.
They're free game.
Yeah, absolutely. Open season.
They apparently the word Tory comes from an Irish word. I can't remember what it is. It sounds quite similar to Tory, but it means robber.
Yeah.
So
that's mental.
Yeah.
So the point I'm trying to make is just now is we've lived under parliamentary sovereignty for so long, and if you look at the way that the whole of these islands are managed from Westminster, you can see that there is no accountability, there is no care for the people, there is no governance for the people. It's governed for the political elite and their cronies. You know, absolutely, without, you know, hands down, you can see that happening every single day. I mean, just look. Let's clap for the NHS during a pandemic, and let's demonize them when they want a pay rise.
Yeah,
you know, that's just not on. The SNP want to do a what's it called, a constitution. The question we should be asking them is it going to be one based on parliamentary sovereignty, or is it going to be one based on popular sovereignty? You know, we need to be asking ALPA, the Greens, and every party in Scotland, the SNP, every single one of them. Okay, are you going to be basing your way of doing things around popular sovereignty or parliamentary sovereignty? Because as far as I'm concerned, I would rather have more of a say with that whole idea of popular sovereignty and direct democracy. I would love to be involved with more of a direct democracy like the Swiss model than anything else at all. It is so important. And to make this accessible to everybody, I think that as a group, Saorsa, we should be sort of like just grabbing key points and putting that out there in little bite-sized chunks for people to digest and understand. Like that 3-minute video I made there, I'm going to tart that up a little bit more and make it more interesting, cut it down a wee bit. But it's important that we do this. Keith, you know quite a lot about popular sovereignty and things. Tell us.
Yeah,
your views
well,
on it, please.
before we got dragged into the Act of Union and the Treaty of Union, we actually had a governance system that was very, very similar to what the Swiss model is right now.
Okay.
Right? Now, that's been taken away from us, and it's been sat in abeyance, frozen in time since 1707. We're not actually running Scotland under our Scottish political system, right? We are running Scotland under the Westminster political system. And that's what people need to understand. There's a huge difference between the two of them, right? Now, in the Swiss model, where you get direct democracy, on average, you vote at least up to 5 times a month, right? And you have the choice to vote or not. But if the government tries to put something through that the people don't want, they can actually veto it. And then the government has to drop it like a hot potato and, right, people didn't want that, next, right? The way we are governed now is you only get to vote in your general election and you get to vote in your council election. That's it.
So the voting things in Switzerland as well. It's not just on a national level. You probably get a couple of votes nationally in the year, maybe 3 or 4 sort of things. A lot. These sort of like votes you're talking about would be local level, to do with like your local communities and stuff as well. So like things that would directly affect maybe even just in your street, filling potholes.
Yeah, like new schools, a new road being built, any infrastructure in your own town, you'd be voting on that.
And the thing with this as well, because you're not forced, you're encouraged to vote, but you don't need to vote. Again, it's one of these. Will, you were shaking your head about this before a second ago. How do you feel about this?
I don't like the Swiss model at all.
Okay.
I think if I was faced with 5 votes a month, I'd lose the will to live. I mean, I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I did have the fortune to work and live in the States for a good few years. And actually, they have popular sovereignty. It's called something slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy called Alexander Hamilton. Everyone's probably heard of the musical. His father, a guy called James Hamilton, came from Ayrshire. And now when Alexander Hamilton, who was one of the people who wrote the American Constitution, he's a Scotsman.
Yeah.
He put a lot of the convention of the estates, which is what Keith's referring to as that local decision-making, into the Constitution. And in fact, the founding fathers, through the years, through the amendments, kept that true. And in America, you've got something called federal law and state law. And actually, it's a big bone of contention. In the States, there's very few things that are federal law. I think you have to be a serial killer or rob a bank or something which is a serious, serious crime. Everything else is state law. And the government can't interfere with that. And when it comes to state, you vote for your sheriff. If it's a metropolitan city, you vote for your chief of police. You vote for your attorney. What's the word?
Attorney General.
Attorney General, which is like our procurator fiscal. You vote for them.
District
so what you're
attorney.
doing is you're actually holding the seats of power to account on a regular basis at a very local level. The federal government actually has very few things that interfere with your life. Everything else, your taxes, your sales tax, which is their version of VAT, is all state level. And in there, you might vote once a year. But what they tend to do is they'll tend to have elections which will run together. So you might have the chief of police running with the attorney general. So you'd vote twice. You'd go once to the polling station, but vote twice, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the Swiss model, to me, is a disaster waiting to happen. I think there's already apathy. I think people vote too much as it is. The problem is that we don't have the ability to get people out of power. And the other thing in the States is, we've all heard the saying, there's no tax without representation. In the States, your politicians are called representatives.
Right.
They represent you. And that's where the sovereignty comes in. The sovereignty isn't with the politicians, it's with the people. They have the right to bear arms for enemies, foreign and domestic. As long as it's an organized militia. I've done some. We'll not go into that, but there's fewer elections, but there's real accountability. And when it comes to it, these people worry about being re-elected, worry about doing a good job.
So these sort of things here, like when you're holding the power bases to account, this is something that we as an independent nation, we need to look at all the best ways, the cherry pick the good things from all the systems that work when it comes to popular sovereignty. We just don't follow one model. We could take the best parts of the Swiss model, the best parts of we the people, because that's where the constitution started from. That is the popular sovereignty from America. That's their constitution is based on popular sovereignty.
We the sovereign people in Scotland.
Yeah, we the sovereign Scots. It could be anything when it goes down on paper. This is well above my pay grade to decide what goes down on that stuff, though. But from a point of view, it's something that we need to start thinking about now, and it's something that we need to be putting out as a collective message right across everywhere. You need to start thinking about this, Scotland, because independence is coming, and we don't want to have a constitution being relied upon about the existing set of politicians in Holyrood at all. It needs to be done by people that are academic, people that are living the best life they can, people like us as well. We should have some sort of say in this. I mean, it wasn't all massive academics and things that did the American Constitution. There was a lot of Scotsmen involved with that, I believe, as well. I just Googled Alexander Hamilton, and he was a handsome devil when I look at the portraits of him. He really was. But I think it's really interesting to consider that we have this potential. We're on the cusp of change in Scotland, and we could be a shining beacon to the rest of the world about how to change and move forward. Beth, please tell me you've got something interesting to say about this as well.
Well, yeah, I want to just start by saying that we already have a constitution.
Yeah,
we already have that in place. Unfortunately, it is out of date. It needs updating. But to lose that constitution and that unique sovereignty that we have here as the people of Scotland is the thought of it's horrifying. Because where does that leave us? Look at the next step after that. Say we are stripped of our constitution, or it turns out that the power lies with the Parliament. Where does that leave us? That leaves us in what England is being run like now. That's a dictatorship filled with tyranny. I mean, we see it every day. Like, they're taking away people's rights to protest, workers' rights, this right, the next right. Is that what we want for Scotland? I do believe so. Not.
No.
And that sovereignty that we have here in Scotland is it's not unique to us, because there are many people that are sovereign over their parliament across the world. But to these isles, it's very unique, and it's something that deserves protecting. And the only people that can protect that sovereignty is us.
I agree.
Our written constitution, just because it's not codified, doesn't give it legitimacy, right? It has been in the making, our system of governance and our written constitution, the Declaration of Arbroath, the claim of right, the people holding the power of popular sovereignty. That is all part of who we are, what Scotland is, right? Why should we lose that now? Just for the politicians to rule over us like they do in Westminster.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
We've got the perfect way of looking at what it's going to be like. It's right next door to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Right
do we
when
want
you go,
that?
Aaron.
I was going to say, right now, if nobody has noticed, people are talking about how, for example, Russia is an oligarchy. They give all the contracts and power to their pals. That is what's been happening in the United Kingdom for absolutely decades.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been
Because
happening in Westminster
just
for
was it
many moons.
a couple of years ago they gave a ferry contract to a company with no boats?
Yep.
How
that's
did they
right.
miss that one?
That's mental. I remember that. We should actually just use that as an example next time anybody brings up the Scottish ferry issue. You know, at least the ferries
At least
up
we
here are
have
being
ferries.
built. They might be rubbish, but at least they're being built. You know, as opposed to anything. Right. Banzai Ghost has just joined us in the live. Okay, thank you very much for joining us there. And he says, I made it just before. I've not seen Banzai for ages, to be perfectly honest. That's why I was surprised there.
He's a legend. He's an
if you
absolute
look at
legend.
if you look at our written constitution, I believe that we should keep the foundation stones of it, right? Like say the 4 laws, our sovereignty, your rights, the laws, the common good law. That's the best law I've ever read in any constitution in my entire life, because that protects the people from the government overstepping the line. It protected the people from the monarchy overstepping the line. And anybody that tried to remove the sovereignty from the people via the government or the monarchy, then we had the ultimate power of sovereignty at that time. We could actually dethrone the king and we could throw the government out of power. Right.
These are all really important things. That the power needs to lie with the people.
Yeah.
We need to consent to be governed, but we can remove that consent at any time through an appropriate manner. It's if we had that power just now, do you really think that Westminster, let's say across all of these islands, if we were considered to be sovereign in that sense and we had the ability to do that, do you think that the likes of Boris Johnson would have been in power as long as he was? He wouldn't have been. There would have been methods and means to actually remove him from our point of view, but there wasn't anything in place at all. It had to be done internally by a political party, not even really by Westminster. They removed him as leader, then Westminster committee removed him, or was going to remove him until he resigned from Parliament. And it's just ridiculous. Absolutely.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I also think that any rewriting would have to be on the basis of all faiths, not just a Presbyterian Protestant faith.
Yeah. Well, I said that. I said the church bar is defunct in the written constitution, right, in Scotland. You could rewrite a new bit of that and just state that all religions are seen equal, right? And anybody out in the streets demonstrating or using religion as a hate tool would just be straight off the streets. Simple as that.
When it comes down to that, that's something that, again, I feel is well above my pay grade. I don't even understand where we could have. I mean, what you're saying is very straightforward, Keith. I wouldn't know where to begin to even discuss that. I mean, I'm a man of faith, but I keep my faith to myself. You know, because I believe pretty much that when it comes to faith, it is a personal thing, and I don't want to cram it down people's throats. I don't want to hear other people's faith crammed out, even though I'm open to a nice discussion about it. But you're absolutely right. Everything needs to have its place. It just needs to, what's the word I'm looking for? Common sense. It needs to have a bit of common sense and a bit of like, we need to preserve the rights of the majority and the minorities. Okay.
Yeah.
It has to be where everyone counts. It really, really does. And that's a Scotland that I would want to live in. A Scotland where everyone counts.
Well, to me, it kind of defeats the purpose of us getting our independence and gaining control of our own finances and resources, and we're still going to be living under an English parliamentary political system.
Yeah, there was an interesting comment. I'm going to bring it up just now. How do you pronounce this name? Is that Conniech? How do you pronounce that? Anyway, to answer your question, when we were talking about,
come on.
Can you not? His phone just fell. Brilliant. Okay, so basically, when we were talking about the SNP producing a constitution, Hamza said that the sovereignty would always lie with the people, and it should be included in Scotland's codified constitution, as well as the things like the people's right to strike and everything. I really hope so. Just so you know, I'm a card-carrying member of the SNP. I'm not a zealot, but I voted for them all the time. I don't agree with everything they say, and I don't disagree with everything they say. Okay, it's just who I am, and I've got, that's a personal right of mine to vote for whoever I want. And I really hope that the sensible collective of politicians that we have, okay, can put something that is based around the Scottish people being sovereign and the ability to hold their governments to account. I think that's really important, and that's a really interesting comment. I think we've lost our Aaron. Hopefully he'll come back soon. Oh, everybody's bigger on my screen now. I can see how handsome Will is.
I've read the written constitution that the SNP put online so people could go and look at it.
Right? Which one was that? The one from a few years ago, or is that just recent? Right.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Now they've been handed 4 written constitutions within the past 8 years. Okay. Right. One was a total blinder because I actually had the privilege of reading every single one that was handed to them, right? And they just stuck them in a drawer and ignored them. And now all of a sudden they're coming out with a written constitution, blah, blah, blah. But like I said, I don't follow any political party anymore. I'm Switzerland and Scotland, right? I don't have any political agendas or anything. I just watch what's best for the country and the people of it. Right.
Yeah.
But
at the end of the day, we need something that's going to protect us from ourselves, really, isn't it? We need something that's positive, something that looks after, like I say, the minorities and the majority of people, basically where everyone counts. And that is really how it is. What time is it? It is 2 minutes to 12. I'm going to bring this part of the conversation to a close. If Aaron's watching somewhere else, because he's just dropped his phone, something's happened, waves to Aaron, and we will move on with just our kind of our wrapping up thing. So listen, thank you everybody for contributing to that, and thanks everybody in the side chat across all the platforms just now. Some really interesting comments, really interesting discussion. I've learned I've learned a little bit about things, and I think that I feel when it comes to popular sovereignty that we do need to look at all the good things that comes from it. And we also need to look at, when it comes to the Constitution, we do have to rely on more knowledgeable people with it, but also people that, might think outside the box. One of us, maybe somebody that says, hey, look, have you thought about this? Because it's going to be with us for eternity, really, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Yeah, that's it. And once your written constitution is put in place and codified, the only people that can change it would be the people, not the government.
I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Interestingly, in the States, the wording convention is used.
Convention.
But if the majority of states agree, there can be an amendment to the Constitution, and that's where their convention of estates come in.
Yeah.
So Alexander did a great job when he did his part in writing it. He didn't write the whole thing, obviously. But there was a major influence from Scotland in that constitution. I'm not saying that's the answer. What I'm saying is that there's various parts of the nomenclature that's being used in their constitution.
Yeah, they took certain parts of our written constitution and put it into the American one.
That's brilliant.
It's the same way your claim of right in the modern version in the United Nations Charter. The claim of right is the right to self-determination and to form a government of your own choosing. Right?
Wow, I never thought of that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, the United Nations even took part of our stuff and put it into the United Nations Charter.
That's brilliant. I think we should delve more into and be interesting to do something about the comparisons of the American Constitution with our historic documents. I think that would be something quite interesting just to sort of like deep dive into and have a good, interesting read about. But I'm going to bring this little part to a close. I try not to run over an hour with the lives because it gets quite late for people, and we like to have a wee chat in Discord afterwards. So I'm going to move on to our wrapping up bit, which is a few shout outs, and particularly Maggie. Let me just bring up the picture that we had earlier on. I can't zoom in, but Maggie is, if you look under the umbrella, it's a lady with curly hair and a blue t-shirt. Maggie has followed me under the Saltire brand on Instagram for a long time. And she joins us at the marches now. She is one of us Saorsa people, which is amazing. And she was the very first victim, shall I say victim, or contributor for doing what I've done as a kind of a mini vlog. It takes about maybe a minute and a half to record it. For these things called 5 questions. And basically the 5 questions are 4 questions you get to know in advance. And then we throw in a fun question at the end. Now, if you go, or if you're part of Instagram, okay, go look up Saorsa people, Saorsa_people. You will see images of the march and things like that. Anytime we interact with anybody in the public, any of the team, I've asked them, just send me a picture of these people. We'll shove that up on our Instagram to show Saorsa people. And the Maggie video and the 5 questions is always going to be up there. So I'm going to play Maggie's 5 questions to you just now, and then we'll move on to other things as well. This is Maggie. She's going to be answering 5 questions.
Number 1, what did you vote? Yes or no in 2014? I voted yes. Why did you vote that way? And I want independence, better future for my family and everybody in Scotland. Sum up Westminster, well it's Westminster, in a sentence. Biggest bunch of crooks you've ever come across. What is the biggest obstacle to independence? There shouldn't be any. Is it toasted cheese or cheese on toast?
It's cheese on toast. It's cheese on toast.
Well, we always say in my village it's roasted cheese. End of story. End of questions.
I love Maggie. I really do. She is brand spanking new. Beth, I'm going to get all teared up with her. You speak about Maggie, please.
Maggie, oh, she's such a brammer. Absolute brammer. She's such a joy to be around. She's so full of light and love, and she's so cheerful and upbeat. And she's amazing.
She's
Love Maggie so much. It was such an honour to meet her.
The first march I went on was an Edinburgh march that started at the Commonwealth Pool with my kids, and Jock Kraut as well. He was there too. And she just marched. She just says, "Can I come and meet you for the march?" I went, "Aye, of course you can." And she's brand spanking new. The fact that I said to her, "Do you fancy answering these questions?" She goes, "No." Remember at the station, she was like, "I didn't want to do that. I'm not doing it." "Oh, come on, Mag. All right, you didn't have to do it." And then basically goes, "Aye, okay, I'll do it." And she was fantastic. She really, really was. And you know, if you see any of her stuff, she follows most of the Saorsa folk now on Instagram, and she's kind of like she's not so much a technophobe, but she's like, I didn't know how to do that sort of thing. So we taught her how to share more. But she's really only got a presence on Instagram, and she shares all our stuff, and I share all her stuff, and she's just a great lass. She really is, and it's a privilege to know her, and it's great that she joins us in all these marches as well, which is good. A few more shout outs tonight as well, apart from a massive shout out to Maggie. 3 very important things that we should all get behind as non-partisan people. These are really important. The first one is a chain of freedom.
Yes.
Without doubt, I've already registered for that. If you have not registered for chain of, good lad, are you going to come through for it, Will?
It's Brammer.
It's
Brammer.
So that's
yes, is the answer.
I
wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah,
I wouldn't miss it for the world. No.
The chain of freedom, okay, is going to be one of the most historical events in Scottish history, as far as I'm concerned. We all need to get behind it. If you're watching this just now, or you're watching this back later on, okay, you just go to Facebook and type in Chain of Freedom. Okay, go and get their links and basically just go and register with them. Find a place where you can get onto this chain. It's going to be about 70,000 people all holding hands right across Scotland. I mean, and then I think they're going to do drone flights across it to actually film it all as well. It's just going to be spectacular. It doesn't matter whether it's raining. There's no such thing as bad weather in Scotland. It's just the wrong clothes, so you need to get down to this. You need to be, I'm going to be plugging this all the time. I mean, it's not until October the 14th, I think, but it's so important.
And I agree more. This is such a historical event for Scotland. This has been done across the world before, most distinctively across the Baltic states. Covered 400 miles. Now, if they can do that, I'm sure we can manage from one side to the other to Scotland.
Yeah.
And this sort of event is something that you can take the whole family to. Bring your kids, bring your auntie, bring your granny, bring your Doug. Can make a day of it. I think it's going to be really special, and I think if you miss it, you're going to be regretting that you weren't part of that chain. So if you can, make sure you can make it.
I'm really lucky because it's my section is literally 5 minutes walk from my front door on the canal. It's brilliant, and all the kids are coming to it. I've said to the people at work as well, get yourself there, and there's more and more people doing it. So as Saorsa people, let's just plug this. If you're already on Facebook for it, if you're watching this just now, go and get one of their links, put it on your own Facebook, put it on your Facebook once a week, twice a week, every day. Just do it. We want as many people there as we possibly can.
I have, if you make it to Indie Beth, if you click the link in my bio, it'll bring you up to my lazy links. And at the very bottom, there'll be a link for Chain of Freedom. And if you click on that link, it'll take you straight through the registration form.
That's brilliant. Well done, you. The other two things I want to plug is the All Under One Banner March in October. Again, some people sort of try to think this is a partisan type sort of march. It's not. It's everybody from every line of any political party or preference that are wanting independence should be turning up at these marches. They're well organised. They're always well stewarded, and the speakers are always great. But there's also another march happening in Edinburgh as well. The Believe in Scotland March. Is that the 2nd of September?
2nd of September.
And it's the Believe in Scotland and the EU March. And they've got some good speakers. I actually believe that Hamza is going to be speaking at that one as well. So that it's incredible that, he's going to be doing that. I mean, it does finish right outside Holyrood. It'll be interesting to see what he's got to say for that too. Well, these are two marches that we'll be plug in as often as we possibly can through all of our network to make sure people get out there and are aware of it. And you'll be sick to the back teeth of us talking about it by the time we're to be honest. But it's what we do. That's what Saorsa is all about. It's about networking and pushing that positive message out.
Yeah, I will. I think there's the All Under One Banner have Ayr and Falkirk. Unfortunately, I'm not going to make those, but I am going to be making the one in the Isle of Skye. So that should be fun. I will be there representing Team Saorsa.
I'm so jealous.
The live feeds, family, enjoy the feeds.
I might magical be going place. Skye,
I might be
going
magical. And I might be taking the drone.
It's a perfect word, magical.
Yeah.
Sorry, Keith.
I might be going the Skye one as well and taking the drone with me as well to get some video footage of the place.
I'll be epic with a drone.
Super jealous. I just can't go to that one because I promised my lady wife that I wouldn't go to Skye without her. We can't arrange it for this time. But yeah, next time, without a doubt, we'll be in Skye. Also, let's just do shameless plugs for ourselves, shall we? Saorsa, we have our own website, SaorsaScot.com. You can see there's a little banner thing going along the bottom there, a wee ticker. It says, please campaign with us by signing up to our website. So why would you want to sign up to our website? Well, first of all, you'll get our newsletter, which will be, we're aiming to do at least one a month, if not two, to talk about campaigns and things, about what we're actually doing to plug things and to get the word out there. But also, by the middle of July, we will have a unique Discord server, a community one, not the one that we actually work on just now, but this is one for the greater population. To come on and discuss things with us, do unique live streams there, questions and answers, planning for campaigns. And also, if you're a creator, you can come and drop your stuff down there if it's pro-indie stuff. And we, as a collective, will actually push that out and share it. That is what it's all about. It's the overlapping circles of sharing the information. It's one of the only ways that we'll be able to combat the mainstream media and the information war. So it's better that we're starting to do this now as a collective than when we get to a point where campaigns, we won't have those positive habits for campaigns. So that's what Saorsa is all about for that there. We also have a Facebook page as well. What's the Facebook page, you guys? Just Saorsa Scott, isn't it?
Saorsa Scott.
Yeah. So that's open to anybody to come and join there as well. So please come and join the Facebook page. That is open right now. We drop all our stuff in there. Where it's a nice, pleasant, positive sort of place to hang out as well. We don't really do public campaigning there, discussing our public campaigning, but that will be on the Discord, which will be amazing. And that's really about it. So it's been a bit of a Brammer of a show tonight, isn't it?
Took your time. You took your time there, Mo.
I like Tommy Gunn's comment when you use the word Ken, you are speaking German.
Ken, I.
Ah, dear. Right. Okay. Time to say goodbye, guys. Keith, you round up with your goodbyes if you've got anything else to add to the conversation.
I would say that we definitely do not want an English political system in an independent Scotland. We need to put back what we had taken away from us over 300 years ago, and then it has to have a chance to evolve for our kids' future and for their generations to come.
Yeah. True. Very true. Will, last words?
I'm so pleased that the Silent Klansman is fitting well.
Yeah.
Really am. And for him to speak as well at the end was brilliant.
Yeah,
it was great to see so many people on a very sunny day. I mean, I'm sure there was competing things with families. We had the SNP thing at Dundee, but it was great to see so many people on the march. And what a positive day it was.
Yeah, it was good. I'm going to see if Mr. Silent Klansman fancies doing 5 questions. I think his answers would be interesting. Then we'll have to think of the mystery question at the end. It has to be something funny for him, something unique and funny. Beth, what do you want to wrap up with tonight?
I want to wrap up with like a thanks. I want to say thanks to so many people, including my dog. No, I'm joking. I want to say thanks to all under one banner for all the hard work they've done. The Klansman for being an absolute warrior. I want to say thanks to Maggie for gracing us with her beautiful presence. And the band as well. Like, wow, that was hard enough to walk, and they done it all by playing bagpipes and drums.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. So a big shout out to all of them. Very thankful for the memories that will last me a lifetime.
What about me?
Breathtaking in more ways than you.
What about me, Beth?
And you too, Will, man.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you, Will.
Brilliant. I will wrap up as well. Guys, just hang out and mute your mics so I can wrap up, and then we'll have a wee chat at the end as well once we go off air. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much indeed. So we've come to end of another great show. I hope you enjoyed it. That's kind of more what we're about. A few videos in amongst everything, and a good discussion with some positive people there. I want to say thank you to Beth, Will, and Keith tonight, and Aaron, who unfortunately left us. His phone started to melt, I believe. I got a wee message for him as well there. So listen, I just want to say thank you very much for watching, and goodbye and good luck.